Still setting up here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Sunday evening live stream. This is the Freeman Booking Live panel, and we have such an interesting and passionate topic today, which is health. And we will be talking about intermittent fasting as well. And each person here today kind of has basically their own journey and their own experience and knowledge to share. I'm extremely honored today to be here with Miss Kim Bolton. Kim is a health coach and she's a graduate of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, or IIN. And Kim lost 60 pounds over 6 years ago, which is unbelievable to be able to keep it off for so long. She has a passion for whole foods, fruits and vegetables, figuring out just the perfect amounts of food for you, movement and walking. Maybe Kim, you can just introduce yourself a little bit, give us your social media.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, about 6 years ago, after I graduated, many years before that, from high school and college, I was trying so many diets and never really succeeded. And finally, for me, what worked was I worked with a therapist. She suggested I cut out sugar. I was like, okay, I think I can do that. I've done that for diets before. And then I also enrolled in a health coaching group with a health coach. And so as I went on this journey, I not only lost weight because of the way that I was eating, but also I was able to keep it off because of the techniques that I was learning for how to think about food and how to think about living my life. And so that, I think, is why I was able to keep the weight off after that and to maintain where I am now. So yeah, and I went to IIN. It was an online program that I did in 6 months to be a health coach. And just, I love talking to my friends and everybody about health and what their health is like, what helps them with their health and healthy eating. And I like to be gentle about it. I think that's important for me, is that it fits into my life, and to be gentle and what doesn't stress me out.
Yeah. What are your social medias, Kim?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's changingtideshealthcoaching.com, and I'm also on Instagram at changingtides_healthcoaching, and on Facebook as Changing Tides Health Coaching as well.
Wonderful. So you guys can reach out to Kim as we go along if this is resonating with you. Next, I'm going to introduce Mr. Matthew Crofoot. He is an FNTP, which is a functional therapy practitioner. Matthew is all about a whole foods diet. He's all about understanding your own personal subconscious beliefs and learning to really trust your body. He is a huge fan of low toxicity lifestyle and food. And he is also very interested in metabolic health. And he knows a lot about that, and just has taken a really interesting journey of healing chronic illness. So Matt, if you want to give us your socials and just kind of tell us a little more about you.
Yeah, thank you, Jennylyn. You kind of summed it up really good there. I guess I'll give you my website, which is habitualhealth.com. And my main focus right now is actually helping people with what I call subconscious empowerment. So basically I help people overcome traumas, limiting beliefs, fears, and other things that could block their physical healing journey, their eating journeys, addictions, or just anything you're facing in life that's kind of in the way. And I support that occasionally with nutrition or detox or other kinds of physical strategies as needed, as I see. Um, as you mentioned, I've dealt with chronic illness. I had a 20-year journey overcoming chronic illness. It started with having mercury amalgam fillings, and my body did not like that over time. And so I had to learn about like all this stuff, really kind of like the slow, hard way. But the benefit to my clients is that I've seen it all, I've researched it all, I've done it all, and have a perfect personal experience with like almost everything out there. And I've worked with a lot of great people along the way, and also with a lot of great, people that have gone through the same journey that I have been on. So thanks a lot.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. And then we also have Dr. Bert Del Herring, MD, medical doctor. He has been practicing his own inspired and fasting since 1994, when he stumbled upon appetite correction and his own weight loss journey. He is a Marine and Navy doctor, a 2-time author. I can't wait for him to tell us his books and where we can purchase them. In addition, he has Facebook groups where he focuses on the power of appetite correction. To mention that Bert is an artist and a creative, and that's how he met Betsy. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Bert.
Thank you. I'm Bert Herring, and you can find me at my website, bertherring.com. And the 2 books that you mentioned are, the first one, the oldest one, is 2005. It's The Fast 5 Diet and Lifestyle. It's available at Amazon in print, or you can download it at bertherring.com. And the more recent one is AC, The Power of Appetite Correction, which was based on 10 years of follow-up after the first book, just based on responses from people who had read the first one, and incorporated their experiences as well. And so, I've been interested in intermittent fasting for a long time because I stumbled across it. It worked for me, wanted to know why it worked. So I looked into it, realized it could work for others, and said, yeah, this is worth sharing, and started working on that for a long time.
Amazing. Okay, great. And just a quick intro on me, guys. I recovered from a 20-year eating disorder, and I've been healthy for a few years now. And I started dieting when I was really young, like 9, started my first diet on Slim Fast. So I'm just a believer in having fun. I like to eat everything in moderation. I like to exercise 5-6 days a week, but nothing cray-cray, like yoga, walking, like fun things. I think it's for me because I appear to be in perfect health, and I feel really good, and I don't struggle with things like depression or anxiety. Like, I have a happy spirit. I live my dreams. So for me, it's like it's working out okay. And so that for me is health. It's just being happy and joyful and having fun. So, but I love talking about health and intermittent fasting and all that good stuff. And everyone here on the panel is very brilliant and very experienced. So I'm excited to hear what they have to say. Let's get into some of these questions here. The first question we have is, oh guys, and my social medias are all Jennylyn, Chung, I'm everywhere. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, I'm everywhere. Okay, so I wanted to start off with each person describing their personal version of their most healthy ideal diet. Like what you do. Tell your audience, tell the people that maybe want to coach with you or learn from you. What do you do? So we'll go ahead and start with Kim.
Yeah, well, my version right now, because it's always going to be changing a little bit. And I have to say, I am interested in intermittent fasting. I've talked with Bert some in the past about that. So, but for right now, I like to start my day with eggs and then whatever else. I also like to eat vegetables with every meal. I think the thing that I like to incorporate in my day is 4 to 5 vegetables a day, servings of vegetables, 1 to 2 pieces of fruit during the day. And that can be, whenever I need it, whenever I'm hungry. A good, like the way that I would want to eat is that when I'm hungry, I eat. And when I'm satisfied, that I stop. And then in the evening, I like to have like a bit of a treat after dinner, or with dinner, have a glass of wine, have something that's chocolatey, and I'd love to get to the place where I'm having one or the other and not both, but lately it's been both. So yeah, that's kind of focus on vegetables, and fruit is very big. And I probably eat meat once a day. I like to eat beans once a day, sometimes more. And then I like to snack on raw nuts. That's one of my favorite kinds of snacks. So.
Sounds delicious. Okay, go ahead, Bert. Bert, give us the breakdown. What is the typical day for you?
My typical day has a 19-hour fast and a 5-hour eating window. And by window, I mean an opportunity to eat. I don't eat consistently or constantly for 5 hours. And for me, that window is typically opening at 5 and closing at 10. And other people who follow a similar plan have the window other times of the day. But for me, that works because it gives me a nice social time in the evening, a family time. And that's the way I like it. It works for me. And so at sometime around 5 o'clock each day, I'm breaking my fast with something that's usually a salad that's got a lot of variety in it, but it's greens based. And I eat carbs and sometimes eat sugar, but they're not any big component of what I eat. I try to focus on plants as the majority of my intake, and sometimes eat some fish or shrimp, and very rarely have some animal meat intake other than that. But so that's the bulk of it. And I don't have anything that's off limits. So chocolate, wine, sometimes it's whatever sounds good is included. And it's been working very well for me.
How much weight did you lose, Bert, back in the day when you first started fasting?
I was about 30 pounds overweight when I started, and I'd left the regular daily activity of the Navy and Marine Corps and was more sedentary, and it just crept up. And I had tried to lose it by exercising more and eating less, like the usual routine says. And it would kind of dip down a little bit, but I couldn't keep going down and didn't ever get to my goal. And then I stumbled into the intermittent fasting quite accidentally. And I wasn't even trying to lose weight by doing that, but it happened. And I realized that, wow, this is cool. This is working. I'm going to keep it up.
Nice. Amazing. Okay, that's so inspiring. All right, Matthew.
Yeah, I guess there's two ways to answer this. One is what I do, and then what I would recommend people do, right? Well, first of all, everyone's bio individual. Kim's big on that, and probably everyone else here is as well. I'm a Midwestern meat and potatoes guy, so I like the old cafeteria plate with the 3 sections: meat, potato, vegetable. Put some butter on one of those sections, usually the potato, and you're good to go. I can pretty much eat that all the time, and my body really likes that. I kind of like the paleo template. Basically, a really big focus on quality of ingredients. So, getting like pasture raised eggs, grass fed butters, meats that are raised naturally on the land, eating like what they're supposed to eat, like grass, and not eating like weird corn mixtures, no antibiotics, things like that. And so when you eat that really good quality, like wild caught salmon, for instance, your body is getting the nutrition that was meant to pass through the food chain to you. One of the biggest things I see is the quality of the fats we eat is really important. Like our grandparents and great grandparents ate lots of animal fats, and then it was kind of demonized at some point. We started eating these industrial seed oils that are polyunsaturated fats. They're heated to really high temperatures when they're made. They're stored in glass bottles that get light damage through them. Then they're heated again when we cook with them. And they're so fragile that they basically become oxidized and rancid, and they create inflammation in our bodies and cause all kinds of problems. So switching to like avocado or like extra virgin olive oil that's cold pressed, coconut oils, or the animal fats, like I said, our great grandparents used, like lard and tallow and schmaltz and other stuff. These are they tend to be really great to cook with because they're saturated and they don't break down as much by the heat. So when we start adding these things, our bodies need fats, good quality fats to repair our nervous systems. Our brains are made a lot of cholesterol and fats, so we need that. It's really important for our stress hormones and our sex hormones. We need the good quality fats for that. So just a real focus on quality of what you're bringing in, no matter what you choose to eat or when you choose to eat. Like Bert, bring in that quality, and that will serve you really well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more satisfying too when it's like good quality butter or, eggs. Like you can taste the difference. Awesome, you guys. That is so cool. You guys all know what I do. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. No apologies. And but what I have noticed, my body likes balance. Like too much bread. But yeah, I can have bread, just not too much. And like, I can have sugar and things like that, but just the balance is nice. So I try to listen to my body. And I do, one thing I'll tell everyone, I always tell everyone about this, is I drink raw, grass-fed organic milk. I have it delivered to me here in Manhattan to my door. And I swear by it. If you have like kind of sensitive or brittle bones, or if you get a lot of cavities, you will like just a glass of like whole fatty, like raw milk a day. I myself have like even reversed cavities. I haven't had a cavity in over 10 years. And when I was a little girl, I used to get cavities a lot. Like even like when I was in elementary school, I had like 6 cavities when I was like in like 7, like so little and so young to have cavities. But ever since I started drinking raw milk, I have like such strong bones and I haven't had a cavity or even a tooth sensitivity since. So I'm a believer in going for the best quality you can afford, because why not? You deserve it. You deserve the most delicious and the best. So I try. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Guys, I have to go there. To exercise, how much? Let's get real. Let's get honest. Dr. Bert, can you tell us, how do you get that svelte figure?
Through exercise specifically?
Mm-hmm. Just curious. We just want to know, what do you do?
Well, exercise and diet, or weight control, weight maintenance, I see as 2 totally separate things. Activity is very important for maintaining a healthy body. It keeps our muscles toned, our bones strong, but that is a separate issue and done for a separate reason than weight control. I don't think activity actually helps with weight control much at all, because it's just our bodies integrate the demand that exercise takes into our appetite. And so we wind up eating more to compensate for it. And so you can be chasing your tail if you try to exercise the calories away. And so if you see it as a totally separate thing where you're doing an activity for your strength, for your bones, that's great. But as a way to lose weight, it looks to me like you're kind of wasting your time. I mean, it's good for your body, yes, but not as a way to get rid of excess weight. And to me, it seems a little bit silly to take in calories and then work to burn them off. What we need is to just avoid the excess calories in the first place.
Thank you. And what would you? That one.
Was that for me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, you froze for a second. I agree mostly with Bert. I think that if you put on a lot of muscle or do certain kinds of strength exercises, it can change your body's hormonal response. So having more lean muscle mass, for instance, versus having extra fat. But yeah, I totally agree. It's like, some of these athletes eat 6,000 to 8,000 extra calories and then they work really hard just to burn it off. So they're just pushing more calories through their system, which is actually aging them faster, which is interesting. So for me, I like the slow, let's go for a walk kind of thing. So that's nice. I bought a rebounder, which is like a little mini trampoline, which I think NASA says is the best exercise you can do. It's really great for moving your lymphatic system, just pretty much giving your every cell in your body a little jostle or a little massage. And it's fun, back to you, Jennylyn. It's like, you're like a kid. You're like, yay, I'm jumping on a trampoline. This is so cool. Put on your favorite song, do some jumping jacks, pretend you're skiing. You can do Dance Dance Revolution, whatever. So I like doing that a lot. And that's a great pandemic exercise that you can just do if you're trying to stay at home during this last period. For the gym, I really like to do the heavy lifting and to do compound exercises for like the big muscle groups. So I like this program called Strong Lifts 5x5. You basically do 5 sets of 5 different exercises, and you spread it out over an A and then a B workout. So you do 3 on an A workout, and then you do different exercises on the B. You do squats all the time because they're just like this super amazing exercise for your body. You do deadlifts. You do a thing called an upright row, which is kind of like bending over and picking something up to your chest that works your back. You do a shoulder press, and then you do a bench press. And all the small muscles get really big as the big muscles get big. So doing upright rows makes your biceps big. Doing huge deadlifts makes your hands really strong, because that's usually the limiter, is you can't even hold the bar because it's too heavy if you don't have a strong grip. Doing the squats, just works out so many muscles. And so what I like about the program too is you add like 2.5 to 5 pounds every single time you go to the gym. So you feel like you start with an empty bar, you learn your form really good, and then you just keep making progress. So you always feel like you're moving forward, and pretty soon you're lifting more than anyone else at the gym. And it's not about vanity or how you look, really. It's about how strong and how functionally fit you are. So I really like that as a lifting routine.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. Kim, what do you do, or what do you recommend?
I really love walking. I wanted to, when I moved back to the United States, because I had lived in Korea for 3 years. And when I moved back, I was like, I really want to live in a place where I can walk just to go and get things and to have it be part of my life. Because when I lived in Korea, I walked all the time. And I agree that it's not to lose weight, but it really did help me maintain weight, I think. And it really was good for my numbers. Like when I left the United States, my blood pressure was kind of high, even though I had lost weight. Now my blood pressure is great. And my cholesterol is something that I'm working on now, but I've been working with my doctor, and as I walk more, those numbers have been getting better. So I'm really happy about that. And then just for like the thing that I love to do, the workout that I love to do is jazzercise. I really, really love jazzercise. And it's great because it's strength training and it's aerobic and it's fun. The only thing they're a little weak on is stretching at the end. So I always find that I need to stretch more afterward or do some yoga, but I also love doing some yoga. So.
Oh, that's so great. Sounds fun. And yeah, I'm all about building the booty. I do booty workouts. I've grown my booty 2-3 inches this year. I was like, people are going to think I got a BBL, which I didn't. So I am all curvy girl from top to bottom. And I'm very proud of it because that's actually not that normal these days. And I work it out, girl. That's how I do it. I do, 20 minutes a day, but I do like little YouTube videos. And yeah, for me, it has nothing to do with, like trying to lose weight or burn calories, just like to feel good. And I like to feel like youthful and like pumped up. So that's my thing. And then I do push-ups. So to give yourself like the nice chest uplift en natural. So that's really all I do. Okay, moving on to something more professional. Here we go. Guys, what are your best tips for people who want to lose weight? So we'll start with Matthew. Matthew, what?
All right. Well, my biggest tip is to start eating protein at every meal. So that really stabilizes your blood sugar. So a lot of people will eat really high glycemic meals or high carb meals. Some people can do it, but a lot of people can't get away with that. And so they get spikes of insulin, and then a lot of that, they don't burn the energy. So they actually end up storing it as fat. So just that one change I've seen, and it also it brings in good fats as well, like we were talking about before. And it makes you feel full and satiated. So yeah, bringing in that protein is a big one. Probably another one would be don't drink your calories, which admitting to these guys, I have a smoothie. So I guess that's where I'm falling down already, but more so like if you're drinking like sodas or pop, or depending where you live, or Jamba Juice, or all these really sweet, or a sweet smoothie, because I put fat and protein in mine. But all those things are just going to go right to your waistline, especially in our modern world, because we're all stressed out all the time. And then the third simple tip that a lot of people don't think about is actually your sleep. If you get really good sleep, it's a lot easier to lose weight, and it has a lot to do with your hormones as well. So just having that good sleep is just an important thing. And if we neglect that, we can gain weight pretty easily. So there's plenty of other ones, but I'll let someone else chime in here.
Those are great tips. I like the protein one too. Do you think that helps with people? You mentioned the blood sugar. Does the protein help to even that out for people that do have blood sugar issues?
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably one of the most important things, because it's kind of like we get in these patterns. Like, let's say you have coffee and a donut for breakfast. There's like no protein there, right? So then you get a blood sugar drop a few hours later, and then you start a vicious roller coaster cycle throughout your day where you need to eat sugar to get your blood sugar back up. So you'll eat like some white carbs or flour or something with sugar, and then you got to drop again every few hours, right? So this kind of keeps happening. You get the 3 o'clock slump, right? And then you start over. All of this really, it just really is really stressful to the body too. So the body's always trying to recover from like, oh my God, there's an emergency. So when you start with, okay, I'm going to eat a full meal with protein, then the body's like, hey, things are cool. This is good. I got this. And then when you get to Bert's level, though, Bert has trained his body to be very great at going long times without food or things like that. But most people are so metabolically deranged at this point that they can't make it a few hours without food. They're so reliant on sugars just to get through the next hour or two. So I think that's a good example of the spectrum where you can heal your body. You can get to a point like we used to be as humans, where you can go for like days even without a problem, So
yeah. Bert, tell us your opinion on that.
Well, a couple of things I can come up with real quick. One is, don't bother starting anything that you cannot maintain for life, because a lifestyle is what it takes to get to your goal weight and stay there. And anything that is temporary means that you'll go back to doing the same thing that got you heavy in the first place. And if it did that the first time, it's going to do it again when you go back to it. So I don't suggest taking on any change that cannot be maintained indefinitely. And so that's one thing. Second thing is, if you think that you're subject to hypoglycemia or low blood sugar issues, it's reasonable to get a glucometer, which is what diabetics use to check their blood sugar, and check and see if your blood sugar really is low. There are lots of things that go on, lots of hormonal changes that go on after eating that can make people feel down and low, and it happened to me, but they don't all have to include blood sugar. So you can find out what's really happening. And that goes into the third thing, which is fat is the largest organ in our body. It's 20% of our body weight, and fat is fuel. And so it's like having this long range tank on our bodies that we don't tap into if all we're doing is feeding our bodies through what we eat all the time. And so you can gradually lengthen the time you're going without food so that your body begins to tap into your long range tank. And once it taps into it, you think all of a sudden, like, wow, where did this come from? You've got energy all day. And that's because it's tapping into the same kind of fuel, the fat, that's been stored for years. And you have so much of it that your body can run a long time and stay very even without all the ups and downs. And it feels wonderful.
Amazing. Thank you. And Kim, you have lost a lot of weight. So give us your tips and your insights.
Yeah. So I really appreciate what both Matt and Bert said. I definitely agree with them completely. When I start working with a client or talking to a friend about health, and this was something that was really big for me, I look at it in a holistic way. And so I'll kind of list, there's like some pillars of health, things like sleeping, and how much movement do you have? And often people really, really focus on what are you eating? But then there's other things that go into our stress levels, like the job that you have and your education and your home environment. And so I kind of talk to people about, I introduce these things, and then I say, what's something that really resonates with you? If you could change one thing in your life that would help you reduce your stress, what would it be? And so some people say getting more sleep is where I need to start, or getting some movement and like walking for 5 minutes. And maybe that's where they need to start. And then once they are able to manage their stress a little bit better because of that one thing, then they're able to make another change and then another change. And so I think that that just making that one initial change, whether it's sleep or your eating or your exercise, can then lead to greater gains. And that's how it really worked for me.
Amazing. Did you hit some plateaus, Kim, like along your journey, and like just keep going and persisting through? Or
plateaus are challenging. Honestly, when I got to my biggest plateau, I did, and that's why working with somebody like a health coach, or I worked with a therapist, was so helpful, because I say, yeah, I didn't lose weight this week. And they were like, okay, well, tell me what you did. And we would go over it. And I was doing the same thing. And then like a week or two later, more weight would drop off. And it was just my body getting used to a new place. And so that was really helpful to have somebody to help me, like just to talk to and be like, yeah, keep going, you can do it. But also, when I got to a certain level, I was like, I'm just going to stay here and see if I like it. And, and that's kind of what I did. So, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Such great firsthand advice, guys. Thank you so much. And then, okay, so let's get back to intermittent fasting. Your opinions on intermittent fasting, and maybe just your personal, like opinions, thoughts, experiences on it. Intermittent fasting, I do like it. I've tried it. I've tried everything. I know everything about everything when it comes to diets, because I'm so obsessed. But the only reason I ultimately didn't stick with it was because I found myself, without meaning to, in calorie deprivation again. Especially when I was bartending, like I would be on my feet for 8 hours. I mean, I had to eat a lot of calories to sustain my body and bartending and just everything I was doing. So for me, it wasn't really working with pretty much all day, like, 3 meals a day, a snack or 2, that kind of thing. But I know for a fact it works. And I know for a fact there's people that love it. And I know you can lose a lot of weight and feel really good doing it if it fits with your lifestyle. So that's just my perspective. But let's jump in. Go ahead, Kim. Give us your personal thoughts and rundown on intermittent fasting.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested in it. And I remember when my dad first told me that he was going to do intermittent fasting, and I was like, wait, how long are you not going to eat? And I was raised definitely with the most important meal of the day is breakfast idea, mentality, and everything. So I was like worried for my dad's health. And then the more that I've read and been introduced to Bert's work, and also like reading about blue zones, which is another thing that I really love and appreciate. So many cultures do intermittent fasting. It's part of a natural lifestyle in France, which is like, they kind of have like this French paradox where they eat high fat and they still are able to maintain many healthy things. So I'm very intrigued by it. I really like the idea of it. I think there's something nice about not having to think too hard about everything. Like everything is so overwhelming. So that's what really resonates with me, is that if I didn't have to like plan out these extra couple of meals a day or an extra meal a day or whatever, that sounds really nice to me. Just, it sounds nice and simple. I started to do it in December, and then I got sick, and then there's a lot of stress. And so I'm hoping to try again, because I think sometimes you just need like some comfort in your life. But I'm excited to try it.
Okay, cool. And Bert, go ahead and Bert, take the floor on this one. Please don't hold back, because you're such an expert in this. So give us what you got.
Well, I've been an advocate for intermittent fasting for 25 years now. And it has been a life changer for a lot of people that I've talked to. And one of the things, it's hard to encapsulate everything. That's why there are books about it. But one thing to remember is that it takes your body a few days to adjust. And so, yeah, the first couple of days, you might be a little cranky, you might be a little hungry. But once your body starts to tap into those long-range fat tanks, there are thousands of calories stored there. And back when we were trying to introduce this to the country back in 2006, my wife joined a fellow who was walking across the country to lose weight. And he had about 140 extra pounds of weight. And we calculated that that was enough fuel for him to walk across the country without ever eating another bite. He had that much fuel. It's like driving a car with this enormous fuel truck behind it, fueling the whole way, that could manage this cross-country walk. Now, of course, he didn't do that. He did eat every day. And as they were walking, my wife would go 20 miles a day and then have her breakfast. And so there is plenty of fuel there, but our bodies are just not used to tapping into it. And so there are a lot of intermittent fasting schedules. And the one that I have been encouraging people to adopt is a 19-hour fasting period with a 5-hour eating opportunity or eating window. And if you're doing something longer than that, like some people have even said 12 and 12, that's not really much of a fasting window. And it may not be enough to get the appetite correction that makes things happen. And so if you adjust to a new schedule and you don't find it working for you, progressively getting to an eating window that's around 5 or 6 hours. Some people have had to go to 4 or even 3, and some people even go to 1 meal a day. It just depends on your body and what it takes to get that appetite correction to start to see the benefits. And there are lots of things that intermittent fasting does that are sort of amazing. It changes how people sleep. It changes how people feel. And it is really kind of surprising. It shocked me to find out that all this could change just by making a change in the eating schedule. And so everybody is different. And I can't look at somebody and say, oh, this is the schedule you need. It's an individual experience that takes some experimentation to find the right recipe that works.
Bert, I'm going to ask a follow-up question just for you about,
Sure.
You kept using the word appetite correction.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, like, just give us a little bit of juice here on how to do that? You said the fasting absolutely helps that, and that the window's different for the person.
Right. The appetite correction means that your body is generating the amount of interest in food that gets at the right amount of calories to make up for what you've used in a day without getting any extra. And if you have stored fuel in the form of fat already, then it takes that into account and cuts your appetite by a few hundred calories a day so that you eat a little less. And this is the remarkable thing about intermittent fasting. A lot of people say, well, what about eating 3 meals a day? We have to look at, where did that schedule come from? Where did 3 meals a day come from? It didn't come from any kind of scientific study that said, oh, this is the best thing for us. It came from traditions, religious traditions, and emulating wealthy people who had no other way to demonstrate their wealth than to eat often. And so it's kind of a crazy basis to take a schedule in the first place. And so that's where our custom came from, but it doesn't mean that it has to stay there. And so when we look at our bodies, look at our intermittent fasting schedule, there's a lot of things that can work, but we don't have to feel like 3 meals a day has some kind of significant scientific backing. It's largely been marketing by breakfast companies, and some of you may be familiar with Taco Bell saying 4th meal. I mean, they're trying to get us to go to 4 meals a day. That's what
they're too. They're trying to get us to eat 11 Z's.
Yeah. So marketing is what a lot of people hear all day. And according to one study, we get 200 cues a day to eat something. And so it's no wonder that this kind of barrage of food, this barrage of messages, has led to breaking the appestat, the thing that controls our appetite, breaking it, confusing it, doesn't know when we've had enough. And the long fasting period, apparently our guts get a chance to rest, and it resets things so that the appestat that was formerly confused can sort things out and figure out just what we need. And it is remarkable to be accustomed to eating 3 meals a day and a certain amount of food. And then when the appestat starts working again, and you have this tasty food in front of you and you just don't want it, that's a remarkable feeling. But that means that your appetite is fixed and you've experienced appetite correction. And that's what makes it worth doing. And that's also why it's sustainable. You can do it for a lifetime.
Sounds amazing. Yeah. I'm sure people are totally inspired and blown away by that. Matt, give it to us.
Well, I want to say that.
Let us know what you think.
That's fascinating, Bert. And I have a follow-up question for you as well while you're on the hot seat. So when someone goes from eating a regular diet to this 5-hour eating window, do you recommend they just jump right into it, or do they gradually do it? How do they take a month or two? What do you think? It's probably different, but
whatever works, it's worth getting there. And on the cover of my first book is a bridge. It's got a big hump in the middle of it. And yeah, there is a hump of adjustment that you have to get over. But whether you walk quickly or take one big jump, some people do jump into it and they just start swimming. And the next day, maybe they take 2-3 days, they feel that adjustment, they feel that little twinge of hunger, and then they're off and rolling. But other people take weeks to adjust, and that's fine too. I'm just saying it's worth getting there. And when you get there, it's not hard to stay there. It's not work to keep this going, because there's no calorie counting. You eat what you want. You don't have to exclude food groups. It's really quite a comfortable place to be. And as far as the tool goes, it's about the easiest tool you can pick up that can have this kind of power.
Wow, that's amazing. I think we see this too with, like, if you can stop eating sugar or stop eating certain foods that aren't good for you, we think that we'll constantly be plagued with with just cravings. But if you can actually get over the hump, like Bert says, then all of a sudden it just disappears. So it's just amazing. And it's like, wow, this is actually really easy, or like almost like self-evident at some point. So with me, my journey with fasting and intermittent fasting has been a big challenge. Some of it's from my having chronic health problems, and some of it from just having a certain body type where I'm kind of stuck in that eating carbohydrates, starchy carbs like potatoes and stuff. So I eat healthy versions of stuff, but it's still, when I stop eating, I feel a lot of pain, not just from the hunger, but some of it's from like blood sugar dysregulation and stuff. And some of it is actually from detoxing, because our body starts actually detoxing, our fat starts breaking down. So depending on how big your toxic load is, you can actually feel quite poorly or release toxins too fast. And this is why it's all bio-individual, and working with practitioners is always great. And different body types can adjust to it really quickly. But I think the big thing is that we're adjusting our bodies to burn fat, like Bert said, as opposed to burning sugar. We're becoming metabolically flexible, where our bodies can actually switch between different kinds of fuels very easily, instead of being forced into just like he said, like this like sugar roller coaster that's been pushed on us, this carb roller coaster of eat this, eat this, eat this, eat this constantly. And then I talked about earlier too. So yeah. So anyways, I think there's a lot of power in this, and there's a lot of healing power, and it's a much more gentle way than just doing a full on water fast. At least you can still eat. So over time, you'll get those benefits. It's spread out over a more comfortable journey. So
yes. Okay, guys. So I think this will probably be a fast question, but let's just talk about sugar straight. Okay, like sugar. And just everybody just kind of give your personal thoughts, opinions, and your research and experience. Let's go with Kim. Go ahead, Kim, give us your thoughts on sugar.
Yeah, when I cut out sugar from my diet, I lost 60 pounds. That was almost the only thing I did. So yeah, that definitely affected me. And when I do eat more sugar, I do hold more weight. And it makes sense with what you've been talking about, Bert, that it's just like, I'm going to use this and I don't need to use any of your fat. And also, just when I eat sugar, it doesn't make me feel very good either. So too much sugar.
Yes. And do you eat, like, for example, other forms of sugar, like potatoes and rice and bread? Or did you, when you said you cut out sugar, do you just mean like the cookies and the pop,
So I do eat those things. I usually eat like 1 or 2 servings of them, and I try to keep it whole grain so that it breaks down slower. And when I was losing weight, I cut out all alcohol, and then I would read the label, and I didn't eat like any bread that had sugar in it. I didn't eat any sauces that had sugar in it. And I also didn't add in sweeteners like sucralose or anything like that. Those have never been good for me. They tend to trigger migraines or headaches and just make me feel kind of bad. So I just went very sugar-free, but yeah. And then but I will say I did eat fruit. I ate fruit the whole time, as long as it was with its fiber. Okay. It was fine for me. So I never cut fruit out.
Okay. So when you say sugar, you're like sugar, like
sugar, yeah.
Like candy sugar, like that.
Yeah. My friends for the year, because I did this for a little over a year, and you have a birthday, and my friends, they were so sweet. They like made like a watermelon cake for me out of watermelon, and they did use like some Cool Whip with it, so there was a little sugar in that, but it was fine. Yeah, it was really sweet.
So it took you 60 over 1 year it was that you lost it?
Yeah, a little over a year. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. And so Matthew, give us your thoughts on sugar.
All right. Well, I'll give you a variety of perspectives here. So one thing, I'm going to lump high fructose corn syrup into this mix too. I moved to New Zealand and lived there for a while, and I lost 20 pounds instantly just because of they don't have corn syrup in their food supply over there because they don't grow all this corn, right? And it's not in every little thing. So I was eating more natural, like real foods. And so just that one change, I ate the same stuff, but somehow just having that not be present in their food supply was a huge difference. I, like you, Jennylyn, I love to eat whatever I want, but I also try to be sensible about it. So if I feel like I'm addicted to or craving sugar, I know I got a problem and I got to stop this right away before it turns into a big problem. But if I feel like I'm in a place where I'm eating, 80-20 rule, or even 90-95% really good, and I see like that perfect cake, or I'm at my parents and they make cinnamon toast or whatever, I'm like, yeah, we're eating this. And I always try to make it like the best version of that. I'm not going to waste that on like a Chips Ahoy or something, but like a homemade chocolate chip cookie, I'll eat it, whatever, that's fine. Something about having that attitude towards it is actually almost more powerful than the physics of what you're eating, which is kind of cool. And you're not just getting stressed about it or beating yourself up. There's huge power in dropping sugar and these high glycemic foods. So, I definitely encourage people to give it like a 30-day trial if they haven't ever done that. And I think it's a great first step towards intermittent fasting too, because your body works through some of the pain and some of the, metabolic adjustments needed to start moving in that direction. There's a really cool program that a lot of people from my training, nutritional therapy practitioners, a lot of them use this program called Restart, which is a 5-week structured program. I don't run it, but there's a lot of people that do that, where it's a sugar detox and like basically a 5-week supported group to clean up your diet, basically with lots of support and other people going through it at the same time. So a lot of people have had really good success with that.
Yes. Okay, Bert, your thoughts on sugar?
Well, I encourage people to start simply. And for the Fast 5 program, there's only one rule: eat within 5 consecutive hours daily. And then if somebody still has trouble after that, then there are other rules that they can add, and avoiding sugar could be one of them. In fact, that's one of the options, is to start avoiding the very rich sugar-laden things, and the ones that are very quickly digested into sugar, like you mentioned, rice, potatoes, bread, that are almost the same as eating sugar. But that, again, that's only if there's a problem with losing weight with just the first rule of schedule. One of the neat things about intermittent fasting is that when appetite correction sets in, food preference typically changes. And I hear this from a lot of people, that food preferences change and people just don't have an interest in eating such sweet foods. They can still eat them, they're not forbidden. And so sometimes there's a donut interest and they have a donut, but the craving and the tendency to eat like half a dozen donuts just isn't there anymore. And so the change in appetite choice is a part of appetite correction that goes along with intermittent fasting. And this, I mentioned before, the remarkable changes that happen in a body, and that appetite interest, or the food interests in avoiding sweets, is really part of it.
Yeah. As long as I tell myself I can have sugar whenever I want, I don't eat it. Isn't that weird? Meaning I have candies and stuff in my house. I purposely, because of my eating disordered past, I literally purposely keep junk food in the house just to tell myself, like, Jenny, you can have it whenever you want it. It's not a big deal. And then I just don't eat it and I don't crave it. So I guess I have my own, way of regulating my cravings by just not making it too important. Like taking the importance off of it, and then, kind of loses its luster a little bit. It's like when you have money, you don't think about it, type of thing. So that's kind of my approach.
Yeah, nothing makes you want something like having it taboo. That's sure to generate interest.
Yes. And so I'm going to just have one final question, guys, because I know this is a really special question to a lot of people here. And just your personal thoughts and beliefs, subconscious mindset, things in the mind pertaining to being healthy, your healthiest life. And let's just, Bert, what do you think?
You froze for a second. I didn't get the whole question.
Yeah, sorry, Bert. Okay, so subconscious mind pertaining to food, diet, health, beliefs, that kind of thing. Just your thoughts on all of that.
Well, I reinforce something that Kim and Matt said, and that is the balance of sleep and stress. Stress is one thing that can kill any effort at weight loss. It is so powerful. Our bodies are developed to deal with stress. Usually stress in the ancient times was either starvation or a predator, and couldn't do much about the predator, but the way to fight starvation was to eat more. And so our bodies adapted to dealing with stress by eating. And so it is a very difficult opponent to fight. So part of managing, achieving weight loss can be managing stress. And one of the ways to help deal with stress is to make sure you get good sleep. And so if you have increasing stress or you have poor sleep, either of those can make weight loss a very difficult challenge, even impossible, until those are dealt with.
Thank you. And Kim, your thoughts on beliefs in the subconscious mind and how you think about food and health?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that tools that has helped me is the idea to be curious. And when something's not working for me, to step back and instead of just like pushing through and making myself do it, and is to be like, okay, why am I struggling? What's happening here? Why am I feeling this way? What are the feelings that I'm having? And because I think our emotions, I'm learning that they can be tools. They can help us figure out the direction that we need to go. So a big thing for me is to be curious as I'm choosing what food to eat and whether or not I'm hungry, just being curious about that.
Yeah, having that sense of an open mind and really listening to your body. And yeah, that's great. And then Matt, this is a great question for you. Take the floor. Like, I know we can go over a couple minutes, like give it to us, what you're thinking.
All right. Yeah, I love this topic. I think we focus so much on the physical strategies and we don't always get to the psycho-emotional level of this, or even the energetic or spiritual level. And so I help people work through some of the deeper reasons they might be struggling with their health or with weight loss efforts, or maybe addictions, or even allergies and things like that. And one of the things I see a lot is people, like, sometimes with the allergies and things like that, their bodies get confused, and then their limbic brain gets really scared of eating something. So they convince themselves that they're going to have symptoms, or that this thing is going to harm me or damage me in some way. So I can work with people to reverse those things so that their body has a more peaceful reaction and confidence that they can actually eat something, and then allow them to quickly, kind of build confidence through small exposures to say, hey, yeah, this isn't going to really affect me. So that's one way it can work. And then another way I see is we see things like scarcity mindset, where like there's never enough, or like I gotta get mine right now, I gotta eat this really quickly because there might not be any food later. So if you have those deep beliefs, you're gonna like eat everything in sight the moment you can, right? Because you're worried down the road it won't be there for you. Or you might have maybe you hate yourself on some deep level, or like a parent sent you this really horrible message and you're punishing yourself with food, or maybe you're scared to put yourself out there in the world so you can like use your weight or your health as a shield, as an excuse. So when we get deep down into these, like there's usually like a trauma or something in your childhood maybe that like sent you a horrible message that's so not true. And so I help people discover those things, clear them, get the energy flowing through their body, give them permission to move forward again. And then they can be like, wow, this is so exciting. I don't feel like I'm like getting in my own way, or I'm sabotaging myself, or that I'm afraid of the future, and I can just move forward because the blocks have been removed. Because there's like this deep conscious desire to move forward, but often there's a subconscious resistance that's like pushing back against it. And I think everyone listening can find a few examples in their life where that's happened. And sometimes we don't know it's happening, so that's even harder to deal with. So
Absolutely. Yeah, my basic philosophy is, as a man thinketh, so he is. And so I typically affirm every day, I'm gorgeous. I'm a smoking hot 10. I'm in perfect health. My father was, he's Korean, not that has anything to do with it, but he ate, Koreans eat everything. Like they eat bread, they eat Coke, they eat sugar in their meats. And my father was always like, we are healthy. That's just who we are. So he kind of brainwashed me. So me, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, we never had a health problem. And the worst pain I've ever felt is the bee sting. And so I'm a fan of a positive mindset, like thinking of yourself in the most healthy, gorgeous, beautiful way. And that's all I know to do. And it has worked for me. So I'm a big believer in positive beliefs and positive mind. But I think that's about all.
I totally love that. I just want to say one last thing. I have a belief that when I get sick, it's only for 24 hours, and it always is. It's like I get over it a few hours later. So it's amazing, the mind, how powerful it is. So.
It is so amazing. It is so amazing. And it's so well worth the journey of removing the limiting beliefs, the negative mindset. Like, it's so worth it to take the time to love yourself and claim your birthright of health and vivaciousness. So I am so honored to have been here with all of you. You are all brilliant and so helpful in all of your advice and your tips. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your stories with everyone. I know a lot of people will be helped and inspired. Guys, I will put in this video somewhere in the description some basic links to everyone's like website, etc. If you would like to contact them or connect with them, or of course coach or work with them in different capacities, as well as purchase Dr. Bert's books, etc. We will include that as well. So have a beautiful night, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Bye, guys.